me share your screen. Yeah, can see this.
Now you can see.
Yes, yes.
So this is basically add data row.
Can see your Gmail screen, man. Is the same thing with everyone, guys, or is it only with me?
Same thing.
Yeah, we are seeing your Gmail screen, not UiPath.
I think now you can see, right, Parth?
Now we can see your response. Yeah. So yeah, we used it properly. You're able to sense it out. But Akash, in case if you need to explain to someone else for these two activities, how you are going to do it?
Yeah, so basically in add data row, so first basically I took the read range workbook, okay, and passed the employee data, basically that Excel sheet path, and here
Right?
basically I'm passing the name of the sheet, and basically I created the output table in the form of DT old data. Once I took that, then I basically take the add data row activity. So in add
Uh-huh.
data row, basically, yeah, you are saying something, Parth?
No, no.
Okay. So in add data row, basically I'm passing the array row like in the form of so in my table, basically I have a employee ID, name, and date of joining, and uh, date of exist. So these are four basically input parameter I'm passing here in the form of a string, and that basically I store in the DT old data. Same basically I am doing here in the add data column as well. Apart from that, basically I am instead of adding the input basically parameter in the array row, I am passing the column name here in the form of DOB, date of birth, and removing the same data column in the form of column number 3 and the same data table.
Okay.
Again,
So,
then
but
I
if you see right, you have array row and data row. So, what is the difference between those two?
difference between array row and data row is like a I'm unable to explain you because but yeah, but both in basically in the add data row, we have to use only one, either array row or data row.
Yes, right.
Okay.
And the data row input property, why that was given, like why it was not only array? The reason is, see, you may need to add the data row of one table to another data table. In that case, we can pass the row object directly instead of like fetching the values from that row and putting it here. We can directly pass in the that particular data row. But the thing is, like you need to have the column names and everything same. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So part
Yeah.
just explain one more time, na, because I didn't get that
Sure.
point in the data row.
I'll explain. I'll explain.
Hmm.
Share my screen. Confirm me, guys, or once you can see my screen. You guys see my screen?
Yeah, but we
Perfect.
can see.
Yeah. Ashok, where are you, man? Are you in Hyderabad or you are in some different place?
Yeah, common path.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, man. Yesterday, probably you might call me to ask some doubts, but yesterday I was like evening. I was like back to back calls and could not able to take your call. I'll call you after this session. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you take add data row or add data column, right? In both of the scenarios, for add data row, you'll be having array row, data row, and here column name and column object. Do you have the column also? Data column. For the add data column, Akash, confirm me.
Yeah, yeah.
So, which means, see, for add data row, you are trying to add a row to the data table, correct? And
Correct.
you can add the data with the help of array rows. Array rows is nothing but each column value in the same order. Like, let us suppose if we have columns, employee ID, name, date of joining, date of exit. Let us suppose if you have these four, then you need to have four arrays, four array items, because it will be tagged in the same order of the index. And in case if you try to go add one more thing, then you will get an error, because the number of columns and the number of array items we are passing should match. Let us suppose if you are giving only three, then it will work that the last item will be considered as a null. Okay. Let us suppose if you doesn't want to have any employee ID, and if you are thinking that like I'll give only three and it will go to these three, it will not happen. It will go to these three, and this will be null. That is how this array row will work for you.
Okay.
But we have a data type of data row, right?
Hmm.
It's an object. We have seen right in the previous sessions, like when you are using for each row, you have a data row object only in that, which is nothing but the current row. If you see in the foreign
Okay.
in the for each row activity, right?
Hmm.
It's a data row object. Let us suppose you have a table one, table two, and both are having same columns. Okay, and you want to add first row of table one to table two. Okay, then the data row object can be, or else let us say, based on some condition only, you want to add the data row of this table one to the table two. So in the for each row, for each row of table one, you have the current row, and you will use the add data row tab 2, and you will be passing as current row based on some condition. Let us suppose uh, if I say if employee ID equal to 119. Let me take this out. So it is a bit confusing. I'll explain you guys.
Here you are using the for each row or for each row in data table. So we have two activities, right? For each row and for each row in data table.
No. For each row is only one data. For each row is for each row in a data table, right? I'm just saying that it is a table. Instead of
Okay.
saying for each row in a data table, I'm just directly writing the table name. For each row activity is only one thing.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, so now what we are doing is like we are directly passing on something else. So yeah. So we can add this current row to the a different data table also, but the column name should be same. This is how we can utilize this Jita row input also, but it will be very less scenarios. Majority of the cases you will be passing the array row only for adding the data row. Just for knowledge purpose, I am just explaining this. Okay. Okay, guys. And what is this task, man? What about this task? Actually, good to see you, man. Yatish, good morning.
Good morning. Sorry for joining late.
No, that is fine, man. There might be some, and anyhow, like you will be having the recording. That's not a problem.
Yeah, I'm
And
just going through that all.
cool. So, what about this task, guys? Because when you are dealing with larger data set, right, you cannot use this for each row. Let us suppose if you had 10,000 rows, right, it will take time,
Hmm.
and it is not the optimized way.
Correct.
So, how can we do that?
But I haven't completed because I haven't got any logic on that.
Yeah, that is fine. Anyone else, guys? So, see, this topic, the topic which is behind this, right? I may not give you some very good explanation on top of it, but I'll tell you the basic things and from like based on the requirement, how we can find the things on Google to write the code. There is one concept, link you. Did anyone heard about this?
No, but just to check, regex, people were using regex.
Regex is the extension of string methods, and that is when you're dealing with the unstructured or semi-structured data, which is like on a text. But thus we are talking about the tables.
Okay.
I think link is basically uh, is the most efficient. I can say it's the most efficient method to process large data.
In a tabular format. Yes. So what is link queue?
Or it is similar to SQL.
Who is that guy, man? Satish?
Satish, I'm saying it is
Perfect,
similar to SQL.
perfect. You're correct. So link queue is nothing but language integrated query, which is like to query the data from data source. So our curriculum will be bit here and there will change. So because like link you when we are started about the link you, right, then probably the next will be will be going with the database, but I'm having some problem with my personal computer. That's the reason for which it may be by tomorrow or day after tomorrow we are going to deal with the database. So for now, let us complete this. And the people will ask you the question for sure. Do you have experience or knowledge on LinkU? That question will come for sure. And also the same similar kind of question they will put. They will talk about the larger data set, how you are going to handle it. And language integrated query, to query the data from a data source. See, for database, we will be using SQL, which is structured query language. Okay, but we are querying the data on data source inside your programming language, right? You are using the query language. You're using the query language only, but inside your programming language. So the method names will be similar, and it is part of your programming language, whatever you're using. Maybe C# or Java, whatever it might be, when you're dealing with the data source. So, in short, I can say LinkU is an query language inside of the programming language. That we call it as a LinkU. And here, what we can do with the LinkUs, we can use select, order, group, aggregate. Aggregate is like some mathematical calculations you can perform on the column data. And we have few more. Okay. So what I generally do is, what activities did I use as part of my experience in majority of the times is select. And now even that is also not required for sure. In some scenarios it is required. I'll tell you the reason. Now we got the filter data table activity. Okay, but still some cases we may need to use this select. The reason is, even the select will also help you to filter, and the filter data table will also help you to filter. But when you're dealing with the data table data, right, for some data types of the column, because every column is of different, like will have a data type. So in for some type of columns, some data columns, you may not use this filter data table and it may not work efficiently, especially when you're dealing with the numbers, date times, and all these things. Okay, and in that scenario you may need to use this select. And these, whatever we are calling these actions, right, we can say these are extension methods. Your programming language. Okay. Don't get panic when we say the programming language. There is nothing to deal with the programming language. See, other than the syntax, we doesn't want anything, right? And we will see some scenarios, so we'll get to know. Okay. So in majority of the cases, I use select, and how I used to answer the question is the link. When someone asked me about the link use, right? Yes, I work with the link use, but most of the cases I work with select query, and the others when they put up this such a scenario based in this such a scenario question, right? So in majority of the cases, I'll utilize Stack Overflow or some websites to see the syntaxes and methods to use it. But without checking all these things, I can write the select, because majority of the cases we will use select only. Nowadays we got the filter data table, but previously we don't have the filter data table. So every time we used to write the select query. So in the similar way, so see, when someone asks about some question, right, in case if it is related to the programming or something, then our answer should not be straight away no. We should tell them what we know and what we will do in case if such scenario comes in front of you, because all the scenarios, whatever the scenario based questions the people will ask, right, um it is not common for everyone. Like, it is not like that. If they face some issue, if I face one issue, in my experience, it is not necessary that you also should face the issue. You might be facing some different issue, right? So we cannot compare in that way, and we cannot say that um, like even the interviewers also look at how you're approaching to that particular solution, and you just need to put your thoughts. It should not be, it's not necessary that it should be exactly the same. So let us go to the UiPath and let us see. And in the meanwhile, link you queries in C#, we can check into this. And let us not go into this. If you go into this and if you are looking at this, right, then it will be a bit hard. Okay. What actually we need to see inside of this code. See, this is my input. Okay. And this is my query. This is my link query, similar to the SQL. Okay. So query syntax and methods. See, I have an input of numbers here, which is an array. Okay. And here numbers dot where. I'm saying that number is, in case I'm just creating a num variable, and which means like each element I'm considering. This divided by 2 is equal to 0. Then we are ordering. Let us see that on UiPath.
What is the I enumerable? The code.
I enumerable is a data type where when we are dealing with the link use, it will be I enumerable of the data type whatever we are dealing with. Okay. So we have a older data. We are dealing with old data, right? I want to filter the value of where we don't have the date of exit. Okay. I want to write that into _1. So what I can do is I can use filter data table activity and do dt data, and I can have it in the same table, or I can have it into a new different table also. It is up to me, the filtered data table. If we doesn't have anything to deal with the previous, then we can have it. Configure filters. And in this, we can select whether we want to keep the rows or we want to ignore those rows. And for now, I want to keep the rows. Let me open this file. Date of exit is null. Column name we can give is empty. Okay. Let me close this and let us run the flow. So we got this. Okay. And let us suppose I want to have the data where my employee ID is 119. We'll change it. Is equal to 119. We got it. Let us suppose if this is not working for you, the filter data table is not working for you for some reason. They may ask you the same question as well. I don't want to use the filter data table. For that, what we can do is we can take into the assign activity. Okay. And here dt old data dot select. Okay. And inside the braces and inside the double quotes, we'll simply say emp id equal to, and in the single quotes we can give 119. Okay. And this will return me the array of data rows. Let us do that. Change this to array of data row. Now the validation is gone, which means like when you use the select method, it will return you the array of data rows instead of data table. Okay. Now how I can convert this to the data table to write into this, because it's an array, right? Data where dot copy to data table, which will return you as a data table in from array. So we have filtered the data and then we converted back into the data table. Let us run this and see. Here. So you can use this link use in order to filter the data and all. Not only filter, you can do many things. Let me do one thing, guys. This is not the right to learn. Let me share you one playlist. In case if you're much interested in learning the link use, right? It will be 10 to 15 minutes videos and very helpful for everyone. See here, you can aggregate functions, restrictions. So all these are not required. Select many operator is important. Select and select many.
this is not required. Part 13 is not required. 15 is required, but in terms of programming, it is required. Cast and type of type operators and these things, right? All these are might be important when you are coming into the real-time scenarios. So as and when required, you can go with that. But basic, what I say is like just go through 1, 2, 3, and then select. That will be good enough in terms of for now. This for link queue, this will be good enough. One second, guys, just give me a moment. Yeah. So, do you have any questions? Like I need to go for the getting a charger. Any questions, guys?
Part basically for this type of scenario, filter data table activity doesn't work in case of date variable. Let's say.
No, I'm not
maybe
saying date. I'm not saying date.
Okay.
It can be with numbers also sometimes. I already kept my screen sharing, right? We'll do one thing. See, you will face that when you are dealing with the data, right? You may face that. I'm not saying that all the time it will not work. It may or may not. Sometimes it may. Sure. Here. See, it is 119. I gave it as a string type of 119. It didn't work.
Hmm.
In case if you're reading from a Excel data which you are getting from an application and you are not sure whether this is a number or a string.
Hmm.
So that in case when I passed it as double quotes, right, it didn't work. So in case if it is a number or a string, irrespective of that, it will work if you use the select query. Got it?
Got it. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. So that is the advantage of that. And sure, guys, like even I used only select and nothing I used much. And in some of the processes, I used a couple of other link queries as well. But based on the scenario, I used to search in the Google. Like I'll tell you. So immediately what I will do is I'll just, for example, let us do the employee ID total, which is not required, but let us do the employee ID total. Okay. So if I go here, convert.toString. I want to convert the whole thing into string in order to display it. And I'll just remove this last column. Let me expand this. Here we are getting an issue. So we just need to figure it out. Let me see which will work for us. Last time also in one of the interview, right, when they asked, like, I tried to go for a wide Google search, could not able to do it.
So what they asked to you, the scenario base for the link query?
No, no, like we need to add the sum of all the values in a column. And the same error I got, like this worked previously, but now with the new version, it is not working out. Maybe something got changed. Okay. What they asked is tables.net. They asked like to take this whole thing, and for the people who is the age less than 50, the sum of the salary they asked, and the looping should not be there. Here the salary in that, like, you'll be getting this dollar symbol. You need to handle that, and you need to aggregate all the values of this. In case if you could able to crack this, right, I have the recruiter number. They will not ask any question. You just need to complete this. That's it. They'll directly give you the task. Maybe this tool can help us. Okay. We'll see that. We'll see that.
But I think,
So these are, yeah.
Using filter table, I think we can extract that amount, right? Let's say you show in the
No,
table
no, no.
format, right?
You can get the number like rows with the age less than 50 if you use filter data table. Okay. But the sum you need to loop through each row. But I don't want to loop. I don't want to have a single loop. I want to write the both the filter and the aggregation, both the functions in a single line of code under a single assign activity. So the question is, like, you have different ways to do that. But what they generally ask is link queue is faster. So I want that to happen in that. And they will not specify link queue. They'll say that I don't want looping system. This is how generally they'll ask. Okay. Anyhow, let us break for 10 minutes, man, and then we'll sync up. Okay. Let us put me one more question. You have. Let me open an Excel. This number, 10,48,576. That is the maximum data where the Excel can hold. After that, you cannot put any of the values. This is the maximum data that Excel can hold. 10,48,576. Okay. 10 lakh rows in Excel. How do you read the data from that Excel? Close this. I don't want to save.
Let me come here.
What was your question?
I have 10 lakhs rows in an Excel.
Hmm. Hmm.
How do you read the data from that Excel? So now my old data is having 10 lakh rows, more than 10 lakh rows.
Hmm.
Okay. I'm using read range workbook. Let me use for each row. So it should not be in this way, Excel. You will not identify what actually happening. Let me do one thing. ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿವ್ನೆ. So we have this many numbers. So let us save this and use the for each row, the old data, and write a log message here. Info current row of 0. Let us run this flow. What is going to happen? It is in the reading stage only. It didn't even came to the writing of the log message. The recording, yeah.
What goes to the infinite loop?
No. It is not even completed the reading, no?
Hmm.
So now it is writing the data. Let us see how many rows it is going to write.
So yesterday, basically, I discussed with one of my friends. So he's attending the UiPath interview. So what basically interview asked to him that we have an Excel sheet of 10,000 rows, okay, and now which is now updated randomly, right? So with some value. So how to find the updated rows from that Excel sheet?
Answer for that.
I don't know basically, but I think maybe we can use the link you carry here because we have a 10,000 rows, right? And that basically rows is updated randomly, right, with some value, right? So how to basically find those updated rows?
Mhm. Just keep on writing the data. when you are looping through this much data, right? That is a challenge which we are going to face. So let us do one thing. Let us see how many rows it is fetching instead of going in this direction, right? To get the number of rows, we will be using data table dot rows. So when you doesn't know something, right? When you just hit dot, it will suggest you. Let us see how many rows it is returning. And we know that it is more than 10 lakhs. Completed. So it is returning all the data, right? The time it took 33 seconds. Let us use application scope. See, here we have only one column. That is the reason for which we got too early. In case if it is not one column, it is going to take a lot of time, right? Let's comment this workbook and let us use the Excel now. There be any change or no? Let us see. Seems like comparatively bit faster, right? But when you have multiple columns also, then that is challenge. So our answer should be, we'll use Excel as a database. And even whatever the question you are saying that randomly updated, the answer should be, we'll use the Excel as a database. So let us see how we can connect. So we are not going to write anything, any queries or something. Let us see. See, the question what they will ask you is like, tell you the queries also. They will not ask you that. They'll say that how you can use. So which means like you just need to show them how you can connect. I'm just using, let me install the package of database. Anyhow, like tomorrow we are going to deal with the databases. So there we will discuss all those things. But just let us see how we can connect it for an Excel. See, additionally, what you can say is, which is allowing you to do that, to treat your Excel as a database is OLEDB. This is the library which is going to facilitate you to deal your Excel as a database. So let me just
It means
let us
through,
configure it.
so it means through basically OLEDB we can find those updated rows, right, in the Excel.
No. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
First, let us first understand like how we can treat our Excel as a database.
Okay.
We'll go to the connection wizard. The database, BBC datasets. Excel files. Okay. Excel files. The machine data source. New. I don't have admin. Okay, let us see. Applies to this machine only. Next, we need to take the Excel drive. Next, data source name I can say BB. Select the workbook. This one. Click on OK. Click on OK. Click on OK. Click on OK. Now test the connection. The connection is successful. Click on OK. Okay. Now it is configured as a database now. Now I can run the data. But that to do this as a table, and my table name is table 1. Save this. I need to have this formatting. Hello. Output is with the old data. I'm getting this error. Check out, guys, how we can read the data, but this is how we configure Excel as a database. Okay. This is got configured when we clicked on the test connection, right? When it is successful means like it is got configured, and I'll check and I'll get back to you on like how we can read the data from this Excel. Okay. So when we are dealing with the larger data set, we will be working on that. We will work in that particular way. Let us do one thing. Let us do a Google search here itself. We need to write the query in this way. Just go with this. Okay. Let us run this. In this much time. I'll check this and I'll get back to you on this. And from tomorrow, we'll try to start with the database as well, so that like we'll cover this as part of that. It's taking time. Okay. Guys, have any questions? Guys, am I audible?
Path.
Not responding mode. So this will happen when you are using the read range activity, the Excel, when you are dealing with a larger data set, for sure. Just go for this now. Taking time. Okay, we'll cover this in tomorrow's session, guys. And tomorrow we are going to start with our database. Okay. Do you guys have any other questions?
Nothing from my side, Path. Yeah, I'm good.